Yes. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I can see people coming in. It's Q3, and I'm very happy that you had the time today to show up. Yes. We are expecting more attendees. That means that we'll have to give them a little bit of time to log in, just to check that your videos are working. We'll start in 2 minutes time, so we'll just give the others time to log in. So today we'll have Sarah with us, and she's going to present on IronQuest project. And then we'll have a Kahoot session, just 5 very easy questions, and the winner will get a prize, of course. The prize will be sent to your address. And then right after, we'll have a small break, and then Sarah will take us through how to be very successful with Tableau. And that's just how to impress your boss, you know, get more pay if you have to. So then we'll say our farewells. I hope you had a lovely summer and lovely holiday. We had really good weather in Denmark. And yeah, sunny weather. We are very lucky this year. I hope you had a good time. Yes, still a few logging in. And please remember that the Q4 will be on November the 26th. So please mark your calendars for that. November the 26th. We'll announce who will be our presenters then. Yes. Welcome, welcome everybody. For those who've just joined us. All right, today we have Sarah, and Sarah, you're welcome to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Lydia. Thanks for having me here today. So my name's Sarah Bartlett. I'm a BI and analytics consultant working for a company called Slalom. I'm based in London, and I'm Tableau Zen Master and Tableau Social Ambassador as well.
That was Sarah. Our lovely Sarah is here from London. She's going to guide us through today. Yes. Really interesting. I asked in the guests requests, I asked which kind of topics you'd like to hear. And it was actually very interesting to see what most of you wrote. So there was like the dashboards, the learning, Tableau catalog. I don't know what this catalog meant, but I'll maybe get to Henrik to hear about that. And then others wanted to find out how survey and evaluations are in Tableau, some powerful analytic techniques, and yeah, tracking in games. Oh, that would be interesting. Public data analytics. Yes, we'll prepare that too. Webhooks, yes. We'll find someone for that too at some point. And analytics, analyzing, you have that today, so should brace yourselves. And then Tableau implementation and adoption, time series trend line. Oh, yeah, for the stock market, or yes. Dashboard design, yeah. Set actions, we had that last time. So yes, new features, we also had that last time, but I'll make sure we find somebody to update us on the new features that are coming in Tableau. And Sarah, you're welcome to start.
Okay, let me just share my screen.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'm giving 2 talks today. This is my first one. Hopefully you can see my slides. I think they've switched again.
Yes.
Okay, can you see them okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay, hi everyone. So I gave a quick intro before, so I won't go through that again. But here's some of the Tableau public vizzes I have that are available online. You might be familiar with some of my work. I was a finalist in the IronViz Europe competition in 2018, and the visualization on the right, which is the European cities one, that got me into the final, so that everyone remembers that viz. So yeah, but in terms of my background, I've been working in analytics for over 12 years now. I've been a Tableau user for 6 years. I've worked in consulting on Tableau for 3 years. I'm Tableau certified on desktop, so I've got the Certified Associate, which I achieved in 2018, and the Certified Professional, which I achieved last year. And I'm also a co-leader of the London Tableau User Group. I've been doing that for 4 years now. So I'm quite involved in the Tableau world. So yeah. Also, I'm a big fan of Copenhagen, so I'm really excited to speak to the Copenhagen or Denmark tug today. I try and visit like most years. Obviously, I haven't been able to visit this year, but I'm looking forward to attending again soon. But today I'm going to be talking about IronViz and IronQuest. So before we begin, I just want to talk a little bit about what IronViz is. As you may have heard of IronViz before, and this is the description that Tableau give on their website. But essentially, IronViz is a data visualization contest that's run by Tableau. They usually run 2 contests every year, so one for Europe and then one for the global conference. And it gives people the opportunity to showcase their work with 3 people then advancing to the on-stage part of the competition. Now, it is a big spectacle and it's really exciting. This picture was taken at the global conference last year in the IronViz competition. And once you proceed to that stage, you have to complete a visualization in 20 minutes live on stage in front of an audience of anywhere between 4,000 or like 8,000 people. So it's really high pressure. Now, I was actually part of the competition back in 2018 in Europe. It's much smaller. It wasn't as glam as this one, but same concept. This year, the IronViz contest has actually just closed recently. I was lucky enough to be a judge for the first round of that. There was a record number, 372 entries this year, which is crazy considering I think last year over the 3 feeder competitions they had, there was only around about 200. And this year, 86% of the people that entered were first-time entrants as well. Now, they may have been tempted by the fact that this year there's cash prizes. So the person who wins on stage this year, or the virtual stage, should I say, actually wins $10,000 US, and the other people on stage also win between $5,000 or $2,000 as well. Plus they get a donation to a non-profit of their choice. So there's a lot at stake this year. Now, the live final will be at the Tableau conference, which is virtual. The details of that were released yesterday. It's free to attend, but there'll be the competition will be streamed live on there over one of the days. But on the final of IronViz, everyone has to visualize the same data set. They get the data set in advance. So they're not just put on the spot and have to visualize the data there and then. I think normally they receive the data about a month in advance, so they get time to practice their visualizations, because really 20 minutes isn't a long time to build a visualization from scratch, especially if you haven't seen the data before. So it just wouldn't be possible if you got the data on the day. But the feeder competitions, which is what I'm going to be focusing on today, work completely different to the live final. So with the feeder competitions, Tableau would tell people to go away and visualize a topic. So this year the topic was health and well-being. So people could visualize anything they wanted, any data set they wanted on the topic of health and well-being, and adapt that how they wish. And that's how IronQuest works as well. For both IronViz and IronQuest, the visualizations are scored on design, storytelling, and analysis. So in IronViz, you get a maximum of 5 points for each of these categories. So design would be like what your viz looks like. Have you used color well? Is it is it appealing to look at? Is everything laid out correctly? Storytelling be how your story kind of flows together. Have you asked a question and then answered it using data, for instance? And then analysis is the strength of the analysis in your work. So have you used some different chart types? Are you using the right chart types to kind of draw out that story, and that kind of thing? So that's what they're looking for in IronViz, and that scoring criteria applies both to the feeder competition and to the live on stage competition as well. But I started a project called IronQuest back at the beginning of 2019, and I was inspired to do this because of my personal IronViz experience. So back in 2018, I was entering the European Tableau IronViz competition, and the theme for that one was European cities. So we could visualize anything that we wanted to do with European cities. Now I knew I didn't want to visualize something obvious like something on London or one of the big cities, but I just couldn't find any data, and I spent pretty much the entire month that we had to complete this visualization Googling data about European cities, and I didn't get anywhere. So that was kind of, this image kind of sums up my experience. But then eventually I found this website, which is called thepriceoftravel.com, and this website shows the cheapest places to travel to if you want to backpack around Europe. So for every city, they're all ranked from I think 1 to 59, so 1 being the cheapest, 59 being the most expensive. And for every city, it includes the average cost of staying in that city for a day, whether that be accommodation, entertainment, food and drink, or transportation. And then it gives you an overall breakdown of how much it would cost to spend a day in that city. Now, like I said, on the website, there was 59 cities, and the information was laid out just as you see it on the screen. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to type this information in Excel. It's just going to take me too long. So I actually contacted my friend who's a fellow Zen Master, Lorna Brown, sorry, she got married. And I asked for her help because I knew that she was good at web scraping using a tool called Alteryx. So I reached out to Lorna and said, could you help me get the data from this website? And she did. She managed to do it in about 10 or 15 minutes. And then she sent me an Excel spreadsheet with all the data I wanted, which was great. And I was really fortunate for that. And then with that data, I then built the visualization that I showed you at the beginning. So explore European cities on a budget. I actually only included 5 cities in the end, so the 5 cheapest ones. With Kiev being the #1 cheapest city. And then I included some extra data in there. So I looked at the weather patterns, and so you could kind of decide when was the optimum time to visit that city. And I also built some custom maps in Mapbox just for some like visual effect. But it was really fun to build. I never expected this viz to get me anywhere. I was purely doing it just for fun. But then I was lucky enough to come 3rd in the competition overall, which meant that I then proceeded to the on-stage competition at the European conference in London. So that was a big surprise. And I was actually up against 2 of my friends in the final, which was interesting. But the data that we got given to compete with on stage was the Big Mac Index, which is a data set prepared by The Economist. And it looks at the price of Big Macs around the world to try and gauge currency under or overvaluations. And we were told that we could take this data set and we could combine it with any other data set we wished. We had to use Tableau Prep, which was a brand new tool at the time. And so we all went away and built our visualizations behind closed doors. And then we recreated them on stage. So this was my visualization that I built on stage in 20 minutes. And I decided to focus on Japan and looking at McDonald's in Japan. They had quite a turbulent history. So having a look at that, having a look at the how the yen attracts tourists and different measures as well, like tourism growth, spending on fast food and that kind of thing. But as soon as I saw my fellow contestants' viz, I knew I wasn't going to win because this was the visualization that Klaus built, and he actually went on to win the competition. He was looking, he built a custom polygon map of Europe, so it was something that people hadn't seen before. It's very eye-catching. And then he looked at the different components of a Big Mac and how they're priced. So he won on the day, but it was not a problem at all for me. I was just glad to be part of the experience. It was fantastic. We had loads of fun. I don't know if I'd do it again, but it was certainly something I'm really glad to have done. But around the time I did this, a lot of people were saying, you know, I don't really want to enter IronViz. it's, you know, it's too scary, it's not for me. And around this time as well, there was a survey that was run, back in 2017, that looked at the reasons why people don't enter IronVis. And these were some of the reasons that people came back with. So 32% said they're not confident enough, 25% said they just didn't have the time to compete, 22% were intimidated by other entries, and 9% said, you know, I'm not going to win, so what's the point of entering? So I was quite saddened by this. I thought, you know, there must be something we can do. Like, I had a great experience taking part, and I'd really love other people to experience it, because it's not just about winning, you know, it's the process of building a visualization, sourcing the data, and all those kind of things really do help improve your skills, and it can be a lot of fun. So that's why I founded my project called IronQuest. So as I said before, I founded this at the beginning of 2019. And my mission really was to create a safe space for the community to practice building visualizations that kind of followed the same process as the IronVis feeder competitions, because in a normal year, there's only 3 or 4 feeder competitions in the year. So there's not much opportunity to practice, and there's not any other community projects that really mimic this kind of format. Every month we run this project. There's a different topic, and they're purposely kept really diverse and open, so you can kind of make it what you want and visualize data that you're interested in. The key part of IronQuest is the feedback part, so that after people have submitted their visualizations, they can opt in for feedback, and the feedback is given by it's got a video on YouTube where people can go and actually watch video conversation that I have with my co-hosts to talk about what people could do to improve their work. And every month there's a blog post with all the entries in, so people have their work featured in there, which will obviously be shared out to a wide audience, and it gives them a good way to gain new followers. And essentially, I mean, if people do wish to, they can then go on and participate in IronVis at the end of this. So a typical month for the IronQuest looks like this. So it starts off with the topic being announced. Then people have to go away and source the data, because we rarely provide any data as part of the process. The whole point of this is to try and get you to practice your data sourcing skills, your data cleaning skills, and that kind of thing. And then you build the visualization once you have the data. Then you submit the viz, and when you submit the viz, you can request the feedback. And then there's this call at the end, which I have with my co-host, where we give people feedback, and then once they've received that, they can go away and iterate on their work. The focus is on the IronVis scoring criteria I mentioned before. So we focus on trying to get people to think about their design, their storytelling, and their analysis in their work. And really, I'd love to show you some of the examples we've had so far, because it's been really exciting to see. So as I said, we're currently on the 10th challenge. That challenge is Myths, Magic, and Mystery. And that one finishes on Monday next week. So we're about to start another one, which I'll give you the details about at the end. But so far, we've visualized topics, everything from crime, business dashboards, sea creatures, sports, food and drink, healthcare and prisons, maps, and quantified self. So a really, really diverse range of topics. We've been lucky enough to have 324 entries so far from 187 participants, and 20 of those visualizations have been featured as Visit the Day. If you don't know what Visit the Day is, it's every day Tableau Public features a visualization that someone's posted. It's shared out by email, and it's also featured in an online gallery. So if you have a look, if you go onto Tableau Public and look at the gallery tab, you'll see the visualization of today or yesterday, and you can scroll through that. So we've had 20 featured in there, which has been really great to see. In terms of the entries per round, the quantified self round, which was run last month or the month before, was by far the most popular. And I think that was because everyone was in lockdown. A lot of people were tracking data about themselves and their daily lives and how they changed because of COVID. So that one really stood out. But we've seen a lot of interest in maps, and fun enough in dashboards as well, which is standard business dashboards. People wanted to practice that skill to take it back to work. So far, there's been 8 community co-hosts. I'm going to be joined by the 9th this month, who's Sam Parsons, who works at Dyson in the UK. But the people featured here are a range of Tableau Zen Masters, Tableau Ambassadors, and also previous IronVis contestants or winners. And just to give you an idea of some of the entries that we've seen so far, I'm going to show you through some of the galleries that we've got. So if I start with the very first IronQuest round, which was in January 2019, the topic was crime. So the visualization on the left is by Alex Jones, and he looked at mass shootings in America in this very stunning kind of design that I thought that really brought the topic to life in a really well done way. And then the visualization on the right is by Mike Cisneros, and he looked at the number of times Fiona Apple sang her song Feeling Like a Criminal at different concerts in the US. And so the reason I put these two side by side is because they're completely different takes on the topic of crime. But it's really interesting to see how people have taken the topic and made it their own. For the second month of IronQuest, we did business dashboards. So there's just 3 examples here. So the one on the top left is by Anna. Anna's from Poland, and she actually visualized some data on hospital waiting times in Polish from her home country. The visualization on the right is by Spencer Borke. He's mad about the NFL, and he decided to apply a business dashboard style theme to look at NFL data. Which I thought was really, really cool to see. Then we had a round on sea creatures. And so for this one, I was lucky enough to collaborate with Kevin Flurledge, and we looked at a sea turtle called Bean, who really exists, and she's based in Costa Rica, and she's got a tracker on her back, and there was some data that showed where she had traveled. So we used a map and a GIF to actually track her journey. But we also included some information around sea creatures, their general life cycle, and why they're at risk. Because from doing this, we discovered that for every 100 sea turtles that are born, only 1 survives to adulthood, and that's because of a variety of environmental issues that they face. But through this viz, it's really long. We actually broke down the life cycle step by step, and just visually showing that in the plum pudding chart, how the number of sea turtles surviving each stage gets smaller every time. And then we have the map at the end as well, and a call for action. This visualization was actually featured by one of the sea turtle charities as well, which was really great to see. Towards the end of last year, there was a collaboration between IronQuest and SportsViz Sunday, which is another community project. And so anyone who entered this one could visualize any sports data of their choosing. We had visualizations like the one on the right from Neil Richards, which looked at the Rugby World Cup, which was taking place at the time in Japan. So he applied a Japanese theme to visualize the matches that had taken place. There was lots of tennis vizzes. So the one in the middle looked at Naomi Osaka, and then the one on the left was by Kate Schwab, and she looked at the GOAT race in tennis in this long visualization, looking at Federer, Nadal and Djokovic and their careers to date and how they compare, which was really great to see. At the end of last year, we looked at a topic on food and drink. So there was lots of different takes on this one. So the visualization on the right looks at the cadence of cocktails. This is again by Kate Schwab. So this was looking at Google search trends for different cocktail recipes over the years, and also by month. So where the position on the radial is what month that those Google searches happen. So she found some seasonal trends for different cocktails, and it's based on another visualization by Nadia Bremer, where she did a similar technique. The visualization in the middle is by Maria Brock, and she looked at Napa Valley and the wineries in Napa Valley. And then the one on the left is by Bo, and he looked at the characteristics of 30 different cheeses in these really cool cheese pie charts. So 3 completely different vizzes again, which is great to see. At the beginning of this year, I did a collaboration with Project Health Viz and Lindsay Betzendahl, and we looked at healthcare in prisons. For this one, we actually provided a data set, so that data set was looking at the mental health of women in prison. So a lot of people focused on that topic, but we also had topics like the one in the middle on prison overcrowding, and then Lindsay actually did a really cool technique where she actually focused in on one data point. So telling the story of prison and being pregnant in prison from a single woman's perspective. And she built this beautiful visualization, which actually had some really cool interactive elements. So she had different containers that popped out, and it was just, yeah, really great technique. And then earlier this year, we also did a project on maps. And so then for this one, people could visualize any data of their choosing, as long as it included a map. So we had lots of different takes on this one. So a lot of people chose to look at Mapbox and design some custom maps in Mapbox. We also had hex maps, like the one you see there, which is by Gary, looking at fly tipping in London. And then the one on the bottom left is by Fred. Fred lives in Australia, and he looked at the key places for him and his wife's relationships. They recently got married, so he maps like where they met, where he proposed to her, and then where they got married, which I thought was a really lovely take on the topic. And then finally, most recently, we looked at quantified self data. So quantified self is where you track data about yourself. And this was, bear in mind, this was done during lockdown. So we had a lot of visitors themed around, like the one on the top left, looking at virtual contact and the different types of virtual contact that person had over a 4-week period. The one on the top right looked at travel, because I think everyone wishes they could travel right now, but looking at the different places that this particular person had traveled to around the world. The pink one on the bottom left was actually a collaboration between Ratnesh and his daughter, who I believe is about 5 years old, and they visualized their family and the different characteristics of people in the family. And then the one on the bottom right is by Praveen, where he looked at his tweets over the quarantine period and broke them down into different categories, and it's a really cool like Sankey visualization. So that's the ones I wanted to highlight today. So if we look at the kind of people that participate, in terms of where they come from, the majority of people taking part in IronQuest are either from North America, Europe, or India and APAC, but predominantly the US and the UK. But we've seen participation from many different countries and all continents, which is fantastic to see. Might be surprised to hear that 78% of people that take part in IronQuest have never entered an IronViz feeder competition before. Now that may change, because this was taken before the most recent IronViz feeder, but that was the stat before that one had taken place. And in terms of how long people have been using Tableau for, by the time they entered, 35% had been using it 2 to 3 years, but we also had 9% of people that were brand new and had been using it for 3 months or less. So it really goes to show it doesn't matter kind of where you are in your journey, you can still take part. There's been a few people that have given me great feedback on this project. So one of those is Mira. Mira is based in Singapore, and last year she participated in every IronQuest, as well as doing other projects like Makeover Monday. And it actually gave her enough courage to enter IronViz, and she entered in the final feeder last year and she came in 5th place, which was amazing to see. And if we look at some of Mira's work, the visualization on the left was one of her first visualizations for IronQuest, which was done at the beginning of 2019. And then the visualization on the right was done at the end of the year. And I think just looking at these two side by side, you can really see how her skills have improved. She really gained like a sense of style, and just really learned how to display the data more effectively. And then if you look at her IronViz entry, this was on the topic of refugees, and again she's really got that style coming through, and it's I'm not surprised she got 5th place, because it's a really great visualization. And another person I want to highlight is Kate Schwab. So Kate is actually the reigning champion for IronQuest. She's entered every single round so far. Kate's from Montana in the US, and similar to Mira, last year she competed in every Makeover Monday, I believe, so all 52 weeks, because that's a weekly challenge. But she found that with IronQuest it was really helpful because she got that feedback in a safe environment, that really helped her improve her skills. If we look at some of Kate's work, many of which I've already featured, but the one on the left is looking at crime on Montana university campuses. And this was, again, done in January 2019. And the visualization on the right was done earlier this year, looking at the different ages of buildings in Manhattan. Now you can really see the difference in those two. They're completely different. Her styles really come on. Her skills are amazing. It just goes to show like what's possible in such a short period of time. So hopefully that's inspired you. If you're interested in taking part, so as I said, we've currently got a topic that's underway that actually finishes on Monday. So I extended the deadline, so I needed to update this slide, but it's actually the 7th now, not the 6th. And that one is Myths, Mystery and Magic. So quite a fun one to get everybody off the topic, I think, of COVID. But then next month, well, the next round is actually starting straight after the Myths, Magic and Mystery one, and we're going to be focusing on designing for mobile. So for this topic, you can pick any data you're choosing, but the idea is you practice building a mobile friendly visualization in Tableau. And the reason that I've decided to do this is because I think a lot of people haven't really done much with designing for mobile, and it's a really good skill to have. So this gives you an opportunity to visualize data that you're interested in, but then make it mobile friendly. And my co-host for that one will be Zach Bowders. So I'm really excited about that. There'll be a blog post going out for that one soon, but the deadline will be early October. So there's plenty of time to take part if you're interested. If you're looking for more information on the project, it's all on my blog, sarahlovesdata.co.uk. For every round, we have an introductory post, which includes some links to potential data sets that you might find interesting, or just to give you some inspiration. And then there's a recap post, which includes all of the visualizations for that round. I also have a project tracker on Tableau Public, so everyone that takes part ends up on the tracker, so they can track their progress, and we track the number of entries, the number of visitor days, and that kind of thing. And then we have that league table that I mentioned before. But yeah, hopefully you've been inspired by the different visualizations, and hopefully you can take part at some time in the future. If you need them, there's my contact details, but I'm sticking around. I've still got another talk to give, so I'll give those out again at the end as well. Thank you. Are there any questions? I didn't think there are. Lydia, are there any questions?
Not really, but I'd like to encourage everybody to write questions on the Q&A part. If you can just type in your question, and then Sarah will be able to answer all your questions when she has time. Okay. Yes.
Okay, I'll stop sharing now, Lydia, and then you can take over, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Yes. All right, we've heard about Sarah, and she's presented a very nice presentation on IronQuest project. I hope most of us have been encouraged to participate. One of them, have never participated, so most probably I'll be one of the people entering in next time. So hopefully you'll see more people from Copenhagen. And we thank you very much. And again, I'd like to mention that if you have any questions, please remember to write in the Q&A session so that they are replied. Right now we'll go to the Kahoot session, and this should be it. That's the game pin. Just write kahoot.it and you should be able to write in the game pin. There are only 5 questions, so.
Okay, I'll answer them directly in the Q&A.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I can do that while the quiz is on, Lydia, so.
Yeah. Should I restart it? No players?
Hi, Lydia, your screen isn't sharing right now.
Oh,
let's try sharing again.
Thank you. Yes. That could be the reason why. Thank you. Is that better? Yes. Screen sharing. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes, perfect. Yes. Sorry about that, guys. The winner will get the prize sent to your private address. So I'll reach out to you and make sure that you get the prize at the end of the day. So, more players, please. Kahoot.it, please. Oops, that's my door. Sorry about that. 7. Okay. Any more interested to join? All right, we'll just, yes, some people are still typing it. I give you 1 more minute, and then we start. Nice, more people joining. This is lovely. I'm excited to see who's gonna win. Okay, we have 14 players. Any more interested to join? All right, then I'll just start. You have to be fast. You have to be really fast. It's only 10 seconds, so there you go. And we have Timel. Ooh, congratulations for being the top for number 1. Let's see if you'll still hold the place. Next question. Okay. Seriously, who typed in Tableau public? Okay, moving on. We have, oh, so Timao is still at the top. Yeah. SP is right behind you, so watch out, watch out. Okay, and then next, Boolean is spelled with a double O, so I just meant to confuse you there. Let's see who's Timao still at the top. No, Lars took over. Congratulations, Lars. Timao, you have competition. Moving on to the next. Oh, then you were all listening to Sarah. I'm very, very happy. Let's see who was first. Lars. Okay, Lars is still leading. Timao and hi PSB. Yeah. Great, you're still in. Last question. Okay, we are all in Denmark, so it would be nice if all of you found this question right. But hey, yeah, it's Dronning Margrethe den Anden, Queen Margaret #2, so the second. So I hope you'll remember that. So for the next, let's see who's winning here. Pete is #3. Okay, Pete, you'll get a prize for being #3. Hi, #2, and who's our winner? Lars! Congratulations, Lars! We'll see. We'll make sure that you you get your prize. Pete and Hai will get a small prize, just to cheer you up for next time. Well, thank you very much. You'll have like a 5-minute break, and then just to help so that Sarah can log in, and then we'll continue. Thank you very much. Five-minute break, guys. So Sarah can log in and get her slides ready. Yes. Five minutes break. So in case you have questions, make sure that you type them in so that Sarah can have a little bit of time to answer them before she leaves. And I'm very happy that this time most of you managed to oh, okay. I will, yes. You'll need to send your address to littleawitson@gmail.com so that I can send you your prize, okay? Mm-hmm. 3 minutes to go. So as I was saying that most of us managed to write what they'd like to hear next time, or rather next sessions. So that's really very much encouraged, because then it gives me an idea of who to invite next time so that you get the most out of these sessions. And of course, if you're willing to be one of our presenters, you don't have to be a guru in Tableau. Please reach out to, so that you also get a chance to be a presenter here. We'll try to make sure that our presenters are all over the world now that it's virtual, it's online, so that we are not only dependent on presenters from Denmark, but of course, we'd also really, really love presenters from Denmark. So please reach out if you have a topic you'd like to share with us. Yes, 2 minutes. Grab some water, coffee, tea, or something just before we start again. And of course, if you'd like to hear, or rather read more about Sarah's work, or rather Tableau Visa, or just data, make sure you go to sarahlovesdata.co.uk. sarahlovesdata.co.uk. I'll make sure I send that in a thank you mail so that you can have a look at that too.
Thanks, Lydia. I'll share my slides with you at the end as well, so you can email those out.
Perfect.
There's a lot of links in the next talk that I'm going to give, so I'm sure people will want a copy.
I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, that would be really nice.
And maybe one day I can come present in person in Copenhagen.
That would be really lovely. Yeah, that would be really, really nice.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah. We'll make sure
Okay.
you have the best time here. Okay, please take over.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let me just get my screen set up properly. Switch them over. Okay, hopefully you can see that okay.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, so I've cut out all the slides about me because you've just seen another presentation. So I'll just get straight on with it. But this presentation is going to look at some skills for success and tips to help you become a better analyst using Tableau. So a bit of my story, aside from what you've already heard, is how I was introduced to Tableau. So before Tableau, so I found Tableau in November 2014, but prior to that I was doing all of my work in Excel. At the time I worked as a senior analyst for a facilities management company in the UK, and I built dashboards in Excel, and they look something like this. This isn't actually my dashboard, this is something I found on the internet, but it looks very similar to the kind of work that I was doing at the time. And I loved Excel. I was in it all day, every day, and I built out all these dashboards. I would email them out to people. They probably never looked at them, but they would take me like a week to put together. And as soon as I'd done one, I'd have to start again for the one the next week. So it was this ever evolving cycle. And I guess in hindsight, it wasn't much fun, but at the time I didn't know any better. I didn't know anything about data visualization. I'd never heard of Tableau. And then one day we had a new head of BI start at my company, and he recommended that all the analysts get trained up on a tool called Tableau. And I was really apprehensive because I didn't know what it was, but it was free training and it was something that we rarely got given. So I thought, you know, what have I got to lose? I might as well go and learn it. So I attended a 2-day training course on Tableau and was like blown away by what it could do. I was like really excited to take it back to work and start using it. But what I found was when I went back to work, I became like really frustrated because I just couldn't do what I wanted to do with Tableau. The data that I was using at work was very different to the data which has been shown in the training. So like the Superstore sales data. The data that I was using at work was all about like counting number of jobs and things like that. And I just couldn't get my head around like how to use it properly, how to structure my data properly. And I had no one to turn to for support because I was literally the only Tableau user in my office. Everyone else was located at different places and we didn't really have much of a community or anything like that. So I was kind of like in isolation. But then I discovered a Makeover Monday, which is a challenge I mentioned before, and I'll touch on more later in this talk. But essentially, it's a weekly challenge where you're given a data set, you go away and visualize it and improve upon the original. And I discovered this because I started following Andy Kriebel's blog. You've probably heard of Andy Kriebel. He's a Hall of Fame Zen Master. He's very famous in the Tableau world. He's got an amazing blog with over like 1,000 posts and lots of visualizations. But he started this project called Makeover Monday just around the time I was starting with Tableau. I joined in week 9, so this was a week 9 of that year, and this was my visualization. So very first Tableau viz on Tableau Public. It's still there now if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, but it's very basic, and I had to pluck up a lot of courage to post this. Like I almost wasn't going to post it on social media or anything like that because I didn't know anyone in the community, and I thought people might, I don't know, like shout at me or tell me my viz wasn't very good, but I'm glad I did publish it. So then I was inspired to enter again the next week. I think I actually probably went backwards. So this is my second viz. And I thought at the time that this was fantastic. In hindsight, I know better that it's not. But I tried to take the theme of the fair and build like the carousel bar charts that I thought the injury severity bar chart looked like a roller coaster. I thought the bubbles looked like balloons. In hindsight, you know, I know this is terrible, but I really enjoyed building this viz. And I got some feedback on how to improve it, which was great at the time. Now, fast forward to now, I think I've got around about 155 visualizations on Tableau Public. This is my most recent one that I published a few weeks ago. This was again a Makeover Monday, and this looked at tech companies in Scotland. where they're located, and I built some like design elements in a tool called Figma as well, just to make it like look good. Sometimes building the design elements in Tableau can be a bit temperamental, so I tend to use another tool for that. But I love using Tableau both in and outside of work, and I've been lucky enough to take it forward and use it in my career. And I've also been lucky enough to be part of the community and be in the programs like the Zen Master program, the Ambassador program, and be part of lots of different events. I mean, I've presented at multiple different conferences. I've helped run like really fun competitions at conference. Obviously, I've done IronViz. I've had my work featured in the Tableau public galleries at conference, and I've won some community awards as well. So and most of all, I've made loads of friends by just competing in the community, and I've met people from around the world. So it's been a really great experience, and that's one of the reasons why I encourage people to take part in the community so much, because not only will you learn and will your skills improve, but you'll get to meet lots of really cool people as well. So in terms of like Tableau and why you should select Tableau, maybe perhaps you're at the beginning of your journey and maybe you're using more than one BI tool, I would say that Tableau skills are in demand. If you look for some jobs on LinkedIn, you'll see that just type in Tableau, you'll see that there's lots of Tableau jobs will come up, especially now with sometimes with the lockdown situation, there's more remote work. This is a job that you could do remotely. Tableau is a market leading visualization software. So if you look back at the last few years of the Gartner Magic Quadrant, Tableau has been in the upper right quadrant alongside Power BI. So they're kind of neck and neck. I think Power BI is slightly ahead, but they're very different tools, but they're both market leaders. Tableau is industry agnostic, so you'll see it used across all different industries. And it's very easy to learn. I'm not just saying that, I truly believe it is easy to learn and easier to learn than some of the other tools in the market. It has a free open source version, so you can actually download a Tableau public app and use that for free, even if you don't have like a Tableau desktop. And also it has a community. I've not seen a community like the Tableau community anywhere else. There's other communities like in the Power BI space, but they're nothing like the Tableau community. So something extra special that Tableau has. So in terms of the tips to advance your career with Tableau, I'll start off by saying that in terms of the data visualization skills, there's kind of like 3 different aspects to it. So there's data skills, there's design skills, and there's the tools that you'll use to kind of showcase your skills. And just to break that down a little bit more, under data, you'll need skills in like data collection, data wrangling, understanding data structures and databases. It's good to have some basic understanding of statistics and also the ability to evaluate hypotheses and undertake data storytelling. All of those skills would be really, really useful to have and will help accelerate your journey with Tableau. In terms of design, it's good to have an understanding of some design skills that kind of make your work look good and to make it accessible as well. So it's good to have an understanding of layouts and what layouts work best and why. Understanding different fonts and how fonts should be used, understanding color and just color theory and reasons why certain colors work and others don't, and also understanding color for accessibility, so how to design for people that are colorblind. And it's good to understand the basics of UX and UI, just to understand how things should be laid out and to design for a good customer experience. And in terms of tools, obviously it's good to have the knowledge of the tool, so in this case Tableau, but perhaps Power BI or even Excel as well. Sometimes it can be helpful to know some code, so maybe SQL or even D3, ggplot2, Python. But sometimes the tools that you use might just be pen and paper, which are pretty easy to use, and everyone should be able to use them pretty easily. But the reason I show this as a triangle is because I think everyone's at a different stage of their journey and everyone focuses in a different area. So you may be stronger in one particular area than others, but that doesn't mean to say that you can't use Tableau, but it kind of lays out what you need to know and where you could focus your time in improving your skills. But all of these skills will help you become a better analyst using Tableau. In terms of the things that I would suggest that you do, I would start off by saying try to master the basics. So this is really important. It's really important that you understand Tableau at a foundational level and how it works. Because once you get the foundations right, it will really help you to take your skills to the next level. A really great way of doing this and understanding more about Tableau is to start using the free training resources that are out there. I personally have never paid for any Tableau training. The only formal Tableau training I had was the 2-day course that my company paid for right at the beginning of my journey. But since then, everything I've done has been free, or available online, or just by reading blogs or books and things like that. Tableau have some really good learning resources online, which are completely free. So the training videos that are on their website, the first link there, which I'll share with you, there's lots of bite-sized videos on pretty much everything you'd want to do in Tableau. And you can walk through those and track your progress on how you're doing with those. But they're really good to complement your learning. So you could go and watch some videos, learn a technique, and then actually go and apply your skills and test it out with your own data. I'd highly recommend taking that approach. Tableau also have some e-learning modules available. So these aren't free, unfortunately, but there's a monthly fee attached to them. But with the e-learning modules, they're actually tailored to different roles in Tableau. So perhaps you're an analyst. So if you're an analyst, then you'd take a particular learning path and only complete the e-learning modules that are relevant to your path. Perhaps you're a server admin, and in that case, you'd do a completely different learning path and take modules that are tailored to somebody who's a server admin. But it's a really great way of kind of just looking at things that are relevant to you. There's also some e-learning modules on things like data culture and how to be a champion of data in your organization. So I'd highly recommend checking those out. The Tableau Student Guide is a great place to start as well. This is a resource that was put together by Maria Brock. She's a Tableau Student Ambassador. While it was aimed at students at university, it can be used by anybody, and it's a step-by-step guide on a website that just tells you how to get started and how to master the basics, how to get involved in the community, and all that kind of stuff. And if you're looking to help advance your skills in SQL, Python, or R, or data science, Data Camp and Free Code Camp are free resources that are really good, have loads of tutorials on there for all of those things and more. So I highly recommend checking that out. Obviously, you could also attend a formal training class, probably virtual these days, but perhaps through work, maybe online through something like Udemy or LinkedIn Learning, or sometimes courses are run via user groups as well. So maybe if you speak to Lydia, she might help you run a formal training class through the TUG as well. While we're here, I think it's really good to learn data viz best practices too. This is something that I didn't have an understanding of when I started using Tableau, and just practicing those skills really helped me improve my work. A good place to start with that is the Storytelling with Data website, which is, you may have heard of the book Storytelling with Data, but both of them are run by Cole Nussbaum and Knaflic. And she has a whole community on there where you can submit your work, get feedback, compete in challenges, take part in conversations. So I'd highly recommend you check that out as well. Now, practice makes perfect. So once we've learned all these skills, it's really important that we practice them. So a great way of doing that is by participating in community projects. As I said before, you can get Tableau Public for free. So you don't need a Tableau desktop license to use it. And that means that you could participate in any of these projects completely for free. There's a number of projects out there, so I've included 5 here. IronQuest you know all about already, so I'm not going to touch on that one. But Make of a Monday is probably the most famous of the 5. It's a weekly project run by Eva Murray and Charlie Hutchinson. They publish data every Sunday. The data they find is based upon a visualization that they've seen perhaps online somewhere that's not the best and that could be improved upon. And then you have a week to go away and actually visualize that data and submit something better. The beauty of Make of a Monday is it's different every week. It's completely different data, completely different topic. You get to practice lots of different chart types and just try out new techniques that you might not be able to do at work. So that's something I'd highly recommend getting involved in. It also has a feedback element as well. So they run weekly RIS reviews. So you could submit your work for a review. And there's a big community around it. So generally speaking, all the participants talk to each other and you can bounce ideas off each other and be inspired by other things that people are doing. Workout Wednesday is another famous project. So this is almost the opposite of Make of a Monday. So with Workout Wednesday, published on a Wednesday, obviously, they publish challenges where they have a completed visualization, and the idea is you kind of just by looking at it, you try and figure out how it was built, and the types of calculations that were used under the hood. And then at the end of the week, they'll publish a video that shows how it was actually built, and you can download the original and understand the processes that went into building it. By participating in Work Up Wednesday, you'll really will improve your skills, and get to understand different techniques, the ways of applying different calculations, and really take your skills to the next level, because sometimes these are quite difficult challenges. Don't be disheartened if you take part and you only get halfway. You can still then obviously at the end follow the tutorial and see how they did it, and then take that learning away and apply it in your own work. Then there's Project Health Viz as well, which is run by Lindsay Betzendahl. So this is a monthly challenge looking at health data. Different topic every month, but always related to health. And then SportsViz Sunday is a project that runs every month as well. With SportsViz Sunday, the leaders tend to publish a data set on a particular sport, but you can go away and visualize any data on that sport of your wish, if you wish, or use the one that they provide. And then every week on a Sunday, they provide a roundup on Twitter of different entries that have been entered that week using the hashtag SportsViz Sunday. I'll share links to all these in the deck, so you'll be able to go away and find out more about them. Just a quick example of Make of a Monday. The visualization on the left there is an original. So this was the visualization that the leaders saw online and thought it could be better. And then the visualizations you see on the right are the different takes on this topic. So you can really see how everybody did something different with the data. And you find this every week. Everyone interprets it differently, and you'll learn so many different new techniques and chart types just by participating or following this project. So I highly recommend that. So step number 3 is to ask the right questions of your data. Now, this might seem like a weird one, but I think it's really important that you understand how to ask questions of the data, and actually question that your data you're working with, because it really will help you become better at your craft. And the kind of questions I'm talking about here is like questioning yourself, is your data trustworthy? Is it complete? Is this the data I actually need, or do I need some more data? And it's important you understand the limits of your data as well. There's 2 great books that I'd like to recommend on this topic. So there's How Charts Lie by Alberto Cairo, which talks around charts that he's seen in the media that essentially lie, or perhaps they didn't intend to lie, but they do in the way that they were displayed. Perhaps the person building them didn't understand the data and didn't check those 3 points that I show above. And then Avoiding Data Pitfalls by Ben Jones looks at common pitfalls that we all fall into as analysts, and how you can avoid them. So again, it looks upon those kind of questions that I've mentioned already, but it's a really, really good book, and it gives you lots of good tips as to how you can avoid falling down these traps as well. So step number 4 is to study design principles. So as I said at the beginning, I think it's really important that we understand design principles. And I'm not saying that you need to go away and become a graphic designer, but understanding just the principles of design and what is good design and what does that look like, and how that can be applied to data visualization. It's quite interesting that traditional traditional design teachings, say web design or graphic design, don't always apply to data visualization. So it's almost kind of like a field of its own. But there's some resources you can look at to kind of improve your skills here. So The Design of Everyday Things, it's quite an old book by Don Norman, and just explains kind of design and what good design looks like. Highly recommend looking at that. It's got nothing to do with data visualization, but it will really help you kind of get your mind in the right kind of frame. Practical Typography by Matthew Butternick is a free online book looking at different typography and how you should use different types of fonts. The Big Book of Dashboards by Steve Rexler, Jeff Schaefer, and Andy Cotgreave is essentially a big book of dashboards, but there's about 25 examples of dashboards in there, many of which are built in Tableau, and it talks through kind of what makes these so good, and how you can apply them to your own work. Storytelling with Data, I've mentioned already, is a book by Cole, Nussbaum and Knaflic, looking at how to kind of bring your data to life with data storytelling, and it goes through some core design principles in that book. It's probably my favorite data viz book. I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't already. Sam Parsons has a blog called Reflections in Design. So Sam works with Tableau in his day job, but he's also passionate about design, so he blogs on the topic. And a book I bought recently is called Killer Visual Strategies by Amy Ballier, it talks about how to display things visually, whether it be data or how to lay out PowerPoint slides, but it's all like really relevant to what we do as analysts. So I'd highly recommend checking out that book as well. Okay, step number 5 is publish your work. So I think it's really important that we share our work and allow other people to see it and seek feedback. As I mentioned at the beginning, I was really afraid to share my first Tableau public viz. I thought I was going to get a lot of backlash, and obviously I didn't. It was all in my mind, but I think it's really important that we do publish our work. And just by publishing your work to something like Tableau Public, it helps you build up a public portfolio. And that portfolio can be really handy if you're looking for a new job, perhaps, and they ask you to prove that you've got Tableau skills. You can obviously go and show them your portfolio and all examples of the work you've done. Whereas if you didn't have that, you're just reliant on word of mouth. And often a lot of the work we do at work is behind the scenes, and we don't get to show it like publicly. So it's quite nice to have that kind of public profile to fall back on. I recommend sharing your work on social media. If you've not gathered already, the Twitter Tableau community is pretty strong. There's also a lot of Tableau users on LinkedIn, but I've also seen people share their work on Instagram and Pinterest. It's completely up to you, but I'd say Twitter and LinkedIn are the places that people tend to share their Tableau work. It's really important, I think, to seek feedback and to iterate on that feedback. So there's various channels you can do this through. So Makeover Monday Viz Review is a dedicated channel for feedback on Makeover Monday vizzes. There's a new initiative, actually Sam Parsons started, called Data Fan Feedback. The idea of this one is you can share your work on Twitter with the hashtag #DataFanFeedback, and people will get back to you with some feedback on your viz. And then there's also the Storytelling with Data community, which again I mentioned at the beginning, but you can go over there, you can share any visualization you wish, and you'll get feedback from the community on that site. And these are data viz professionals, perhaps not only using Tableau, they may use other tools as well, but it's really good to get their perspective on things too. And another thing you can do when you're publishing your work is actually create a visual CV. So this is where you create a CV in Tableau. I've got a few examples here. So there's a very attractive one here by Alex Jones. So you can see he's mapped out his kind of education and career timeline, his achievements, his tweets, his most popular viz, and just his Tableau journey really, and in a really like visual form. And then there's another example here by Maria Brock. So Maria was a student recently, and she was doing a lot of work experience. So she set up this to kind of highlight her skills and her journey to date and her interests. And I think these are a really nice way to complement a traditional CV, especially if we're all, in the data viz space. It's good to be able to actually show our skills in this manner and show off what we can do at every opportunity. So there's a whole gallery of all of these, what they're nicknamed Visames. You can find them on Tableau Public under the gallery section. So if you want more inspiration, definitely have a look on there. Tip number 6 would be to engage with the community. So I personally think this is absolutely key, and you'll just gain so much from engaging with the Tableau community. There's various ways you can do this. So if you're here today, you must know all about Tableau user groups already, so I won't bore you with that one, but perhaps if you're not local to Denmark and you want to find your local user group, if you go to usergroups.tableau.com and just type in your home city, it will tell you where your nearest user groups are. Obviously, the beauty of being remote at the moment means you can attend user groups around the world, and actually Tableau upload all of the recordings from all of the user groups to their YouTube channel. So if you have a look on there, you'll see hundreds of recordings of different user groups that have taken place recently. So that can be a really good learning resource. I'd encourage you to connect with others on Tableau Public, so you can follow authors on there, you can favorite work. It's a really good way of finding some really good authors. Obviously get stuck in with Twitter, follow people on Twitter. If you don't know where to start, perhaps you're joining Twitter for the first time, I'd suggest just putting in the hashtag DataFam and just looking at the people using that hashtag, because they tend to be data people using Tableau, and you'll quickly notice the people that are talking about Tableau a lot. The Data Visualization Society is a society for any data viz practitioners, which is run on Slack. So I've included the link to the society on here, but anyone can join that. And they have specialist channels for different interest areas, different people, like locations around the world. But it's a really, really big community of data viz practitioners, and it's really interesting to be part of that. So I'd say definitely get involved in there. If you're interested in mentoring, and perhaps you're seeking a mentor, if you go to mentoringmeetup.com, there's an initiative that I'm actually helping to co-lead at the moment on there, where you can either apply to be a mentor or apply to be a mentee, and then we'll match you with a mentor or mentee, someone from the Tableau community, to give you feedback or mentoring in your area of choice. It's a completely voluntary, free initiative that we're running. And then the Storytelling with Data community as well, I've mentioned many times, but it's a good place to go for feedback. I just want to emphasize the power of Twitter. So Maria Brock, who I mentioned before, she tweeted out a while back if anyone could share some resources to help her learn SQL. And this is just some of the responses she got back. So, and I mean, these are from Tableau people, but recommending different things that she could use. And I think it really goes to show the power of Twitter. So you can go on there and ask any question about Tableau or data viz, and people will definitely help you. I mean, the whole community on there is thriving, and they're really active, and they're just really eager to help everybody out. So yeah, it's just an example for you. Tip number 7 would be to get certified. So Tableau run various different certifications for Tableau Desktop and Tableau Server, and highly recommend you go and check those out. Getting certified can really help to prove your Tableau skills and your data viz skills, and test your knowledge. I found by going through the certification process myself, there was a few gaps in my knowledge, so just preparing for the exam helped me to fill those gaps. It's great for your CV, so you can put it on there, you can put it on LinkedIn and really show off the fact that you've proven your skills, which otherwise, like I said before, is often just you're relying on word of mouth and saying that you're good at something without being able to prove it. It can help you stand out from the crowd, so not everyone's certified, so if you go away and earn certifications, it really does help show that you're dedicated and you know your stuff. And the fun part of it is that you actually get badges, swag, t-shirts sometimes for getting certified, so that's always nice. In terms of the certification paths for Tableau Desktop, there's 3 levels. So the lowest level being the specialist. So this is the entry level for most people. It's a 1-hour exam, 30 multiple choice questions. It costs $100, but quite often Tableau might run some what you call it, like special offers where they give it a discount, so look out for those. The great thing about the specialist exam is it's actually valid forever, so once you've got it, you'll have it forever, which is unlike the other 2, so that's a massive bonus. Perhaps if you're a bit more advanced, I'd suggest starting at the associate level. So this, I think Tableau recommend taking this after using Tableau for around 2 to 3 months. This exam is 2 hours. It's 36 multiple choice questions, but some of those are hands-on, so it may ask you to go and open up Tableau Desktop, look at a visualization and come back with an answer to a question. So something like, what was the profit in March? You have to know how to navigate Tableau to get to that answer. This one costs $250 and is valid for 2 years. It will expire, so I mean, if you go away and do this one and not the specialist, and then you don't take the professional, then you will be without a certification in 2 years unless you resit the exam, and that's the only downside, I guess, for this one. And then if you've been using Tableau for a little bit longer, so the option is to take the professional exam. I think this is recommended once you've been using Tableau for 6 months to a year. This exam is completely different to the other 2, and you can only take it if you've already taken the associate. It's 3 hours long. It's completely practical and hands-on. I think it has about 6 different sections where you'll be asked to build dashboards, build stories, do some calculations, improve visualizations that they provide. So there's lots of different things there. It's cost $600, so significantly more than the other 2, and it's valid for 3 years. But if it's something that you want to do, I'd highly recommend you do. It's a challenging exam, but it's not impossible. It's just a lot expected of you in a short period of time. Tip number 8 is leverage community resources. So I've said many times how great the community is. There's millions of blogs and resources that I could share, but I've just decided to narrow it down to just 5 to help you on your way. Andy Kriebel's blog, bizwiz.com, is probably one of the best Tableau blogs out there. It's got over 1,000 blog posts on Tableau. Andy posts all the time. He's always adding new content, really quick tips and tricks and things like that. Definitely check that out. That's where I started, and it's been really helpful for me on my journey. He also has a lot of videos on YouTube, which you can find links to via his blog, which are really helpful as well. Playfairdata.com is run by Ryan Sleeper. He has some fantastic Tableau tutorials on there. Lots of videos that you can look at to understand how to build different chart types and apply different techniques in Tableau. The Flurledge twins, so Kevin and Ken Flurledge run a blog together. You've probably heard of them, but they post a lot of Tableau tutorials on their blog, step-by-step guides on how to do different things. They also have a lot of templates. So if you're interested in building more advanced chart types, but you don't understand like the maths behind it or how to do a Sankey chart, they have templates where you can just plug and play, put your data in, and then the visualization almost builds itself. So definitely check that out. Data Revelations is run by Steve Rexler. There's a lot of tutorials on his site. He also has some great resources for anyone that's working with survey data. It's my go-to resource if I ever have to work with survey data, so definitely check that out. And then Tableau Tim. So Tim is always posting videos on YouTube. So with every new Tableau release, he posts a lot of videos on all the new Tableau features. So I know Lydia showed at the beginning that somebody had asked about new features in Tableau. Definitely check out Tableau Tim's blog on YouTube. You'll get all the answers to your questions about what's new and how to apply the new techniques. He also has a lot of training videos and tips and tricks on there as well. So it's definitely worth checking out. And then my final point and suggestion to improve your skills will be to teach others. So it's always great to kind of by teaching, you'll understand if you've got any gaps in your knowledge. So there's various ways you could teach others. It doesn't necessarily mean sitting down with somebody and teaching them face to face, which might be quite difficult right now, but there's different ways you could teach, such as you could start a blog and write about your perhaps a Tableau tutorial or how you approach a challenge. You could set up a video channel. I think that's becoming more popular, that people are switching to YouTube and publishing content on there, both of which are free or minimal cost to set those up. You could start mentoring someone. That's a really good way to teach others. Mentoring Meetup is designed precisely for that. We're in desperate need of more mentors. So if you've got an intermediate or higher level of Tableau experience, I'd highly suggest you get involved on there, and it'll give you the opportunity to actually teach somebody one-to-one. You could look to present at a TUG or a meetup. I'm sure Lydia would love it if you applied to speak at this TUG. And speaking at a TUG, will really help to test your knowledge and your understanding of a particular subject area. Tableau have some great forums online. So on the Tableau community forums, where people go on to answer questions where they get stuck on Tableau, you can actually go on there and answer those questions. I find that's a really good way to learn and approach different challenges. And so if I'm ever in need of a challenge, I tend to go on the forums and see what people are saying and try and help people out. And then at work, perhaps you could set up something like a Tableau Doctor clinic, or run some lunch and learn sessions. So where I work, sometimes when people are learning Tableau, we get people to run sessions on something they've just learned so they can teach other people. So it may be just focusing in on a particular area of Tableau and then teaching others that. And you can do that virtually as well, or having the Tableau Doctor sessions where people can come along with their Tableau problems and you can be there on hand to try and help them with those. These are all great ways, to try and teach others your skills. So just a quick recap quickly what I've been through. So we've spoken about mastering the basics, then practicing regularly to solidify that knowledge, asking the right questions of your data, studying the design fundamentals so you can understand how to build something that looks good and works effectively, publishing your work, seeking feedback, leveraging the community and the community resources and engaging with others, getting certified, and then teaching others to help share your knowledge and give back. So hopefully you found that useful. Here's my contact details once again. Feel free to reach out to me if you've got any questions, and I'll share the slides with Lydia at the end so she can share those with you, and you'll have all the links to the different content I've mentioned as well. Thank you for having me. Has anyone got any questions?
Any questions, please, before we close? Just to mention that those who want, please make sure you write to me on my email address so that I can send you your prizes. That's your address is where you live, so that you can get your prizes by post Denmark. Okay. Thank you so much, Sarah,
Okay.
and thank you so much everybody else for attending. I'll send a link to the recording to everybody as a thank you tomorrow, and also with the slides when they are ready. Thank you for today, and see you in Q4.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay,
Thanks, Lydia.
yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye.